All right, people, what is up? Welcome back to Down the Middle podcast. We got some crazy stuff to go over today.
Yep.
Ryan.
Nomal.
And let's get right down to it, because no reason to waste time. So, we have this case. We have a couple things to talk about today, and we want to go over the first case, which Nomal will go over for you.
The Ma'Khia Bryant.
Yeah, we'll start there.
So basically, we went over this the last podcast, but basically it was Officer Reardon, I believe.
Officer Reardon.
Officer Reardon. He was called onto a property. Ma'Khia Bryant, I believe, was actually the caller for Reardon, but there's also other sources that say that she was not the caller. But like I said, I haven't fact-checked it. But either way, he was called onto the property. He arrived on scene, and I believe it was within a 9-second span where the shooting happened. But you see in the body cam footage, Reardon saw Ma'Khia Bryant's father kick somebody in the head. I believe it was another female individual. Mm-hmm. And then 2 seconds right after that, you see Ma'Khia Bryant wielding a knife, and then about inches away from another individual who was a threat to her, obviously, because she called the police on them. And then, and then shots were fired, and Ma'Khia Bryant is unfortunately passed.
And condolences to the family. Now, here's the thing about this case, is that we titled this video Black Lives Matter sometimes, because the life that was in jeopardy from Ma'Khia was another young black girl. Now, the left has come, and this is down the middle, so we want to respect both sides. That's our whole mission. Now, the left has come out hard against this cop, Officer Reardon, saying that this is another form of systemic racism in the police force, saying that we'll get into examples where if it was a white girl and a white girl, then he would have became Barry Allen and
de-escalate the situation.
Yeah, he would have just got there. So basically, here's where we stand on it. The cop was justified in his actions. Like Nomal said, he got there. Within 9 seconds, you had these two crazy events of the father kicking another girl in the head, and then if you watch the video, and just like we said last time, watch the body cam before you make your assumptions, you have her driving the girl into the car and then taking out a knife, and she looks like she's going to stab her. Maybe she wasn't going to stab her, but she was swinging pretty hard with a knife, and it was going right there.
And she also made a statement, right?
And she said, "I'm going to effing kill you," which, that one, I'm having some trouble interpreting, but sounds pretty bad to me. Now, the cop, he was hit with all this information very suddenly, and his reaction was to shoot the girl who was going to kill another girl. We think that he was right.
Yeah, I mean, it really, like I said, it's every situation is very hard to decipher, and you sometimes have to put yourself in the shoes of the cop, right? You have to question yourself. I mean, at first glance, like, it's another life lost, right? With this police brutality cases that have been happening in the past, and of course there's anguish, there's despair, right? But you have to look at it individually, right? Mm-hmm. Without any emotions from prior cases. And if you just look at the facts, as Don Lemon said, as we'll get to soon, you have to look at it honestly and with the facts ahead of you. What would you have done in those situations? That's what you have to question yourself. In the 9-second span, how do you react?
And we have CNN, who, they're all professionals with shooting people. So you have the CNN anchors saying that the cop should have shot the gun in the air. You have a CNN anchor saying, why didn't he shoot the knife? You have the taser option. Now, all these things, shooting in the air doesn't guarantee the girl doesn't shoot her. You have, just like Nomal, me and him were talking before, you have adrenaline going like crazy through this girl. She probably wouldn't even hear the gunshot. You have shoot the knife. Yeah, that is the answer. That's the
You
answer.
Probably have to be the best shooter in the world to be shooting a knife at that distance.
Honestly, we should end the video here. You should have shot the knife and not the hand. And we had the knife here, so you can't shoot the knife like here where it'll still go into the girl, because bullets go kind of fast. Like, shoot the knife
out of her hand,
off the car, and then it bounces back. So the knife hits and it comes back and hits the police officer. You have these CNN is saying some stuff about what should have happened, the taser option. And we talked about tasers are inaccurate. You have the adrenaline. There's no guarantee a tasing. And from that distance, too.
Right. And mind you, these are words from Don Lemon himself, right? He stated that as he was speaking with Chris Kumar on that interview on CNN, I believe it was a couple of days ago, a couple nights ago.
I think, it was just like yesterday.
Yeah, just like yesterday, actually. Yeah. He did state taser wouldn't have worked in that situation. Don Lemon said that. Taser wouldn't have worked. Tasers miss very easily. You have to take into account the person's adrenaline, and you have to take the person's account body composition. And a lot of times with higher body fat percentages and adrenaline, especially adrenaline, it mitigates the effects of a taser easily. And then they're not accurate. They're not accurate at all. So they easily miss. So you have to think in a span of less than a second. Don Lemon also said this with Chris Cuomo, that the officer had less than a second to react, and that's with the slowed video. So how much time do you have to think? You know, how much time do you have to think? Do you shoot? Do you not? Whose life do you save? And so much is happening in that situation in the span of 9 seconds.
And what we're just basically saying here is that the left has come out, and this was the danger of, which we'll get into, mob rule, and the danger of just completely ostracizing the police and saying that, because I guarantee you one thing, if the police were abolished, that girl would have got stabbed. You have the governor of, this was in Ohio.
Yes, Ohio.
The governor of Ohio asking, why did she need to die? Which is, I mean, it's a solid question. You ask that when anyone dies, but
absolutely,
you could also go watch the video, Gov. Maybe you could do that. You have the Washington Post report on this, and the Washington Post has been back and forth with how they're treating all of these matters. The Washington Post saying that she didn't get a chance to live, and just like we spoke about it before. If you watch the body cam footage, you hear the father saying, "You shot my baby," as he performs a WWE move on another girl. You have people in the background saying she was only 16, she did nothing wrong. Just kind of, we've gotten to this very dangerous place where in an instant, from the public reaction, from the media reaction, from the social reaction in that vicinity, the blame was shifted immediately. This police officer shot this black girl, and this is a huge problem. You have, and we'll talk about the taser video that you sent to me. Abraham Kendi on CNN, who's a doctor, he's an author, saying that if this happened in a white neighborhood with 2 wealthy girls, because obviously black people can't be wealthy, so he has to add that in there. That's a little bit racist. If this happened between 2 wealthy white girls, then the cop would have de-escalated the situation.
They said wealthy?
Oh, he said wealthy. In a wealthy neighborhood.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
2 white girls in a wealthy neighborhood.
I
mean, could it be 2 white girls in a non-wealthy neighborhood? Could it be 2 white girls in a swimming pool?
Or any race girls that could be wealthy? Or
exactly.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, this is the whole thing with, and
right.
I don't want to tangent, but Biden saying that you have the opposite between the white people and poor people.
Right.
Poor kids are just as smart as white. Poor kids are just as smart as white kids. So, and you sent me the video of the white boy running away from the cop.
Yeah. So what happened with that video was that, well, they were comparing that video to Ma'Khia Bryant's situation. So basically, it was an officer, and he was reprimanding a guy, and then,
a young kid,
just a kid. He stopped him, but he kind of had his left hand kind of concealed. So you've seen the body cam footage. The second he grabs the kid's arm, he swings at his neck. He actually stabs him in the neck. He gets him in the neck. And then he runs off. So now there's this footage, probably like 10, 15-second span where the officer's running for him. He had a gun at first. Then he, switched to the taser and was able to catch up to him. Like, not from a distance. Like, I mean, you have to catch up to him and then be pretty accurate. And mind you, kudos to the cop. He had literally a wound in his neck and was able to stop him with the taser.
And the thing is, and now the left respond. I forget the account who it was, but the leftist girl is like, and she like points to the other video like, wow, look at that, look at the skin color on this one. And here's the thing about de-escalation, is that de-escalation requires a couple necessary factors. You need time to de-escalate. You need time to think.
There should be something to de-escalate in the first place. And
there's
the ability to de-escalate.
This kid is running away. He has no threat to anybody while he's running away. He has a knife, yes.
Right, while he's running away, there's no threat. There's just 2 individuals, the cop and the kid.
Yeah. And, I mean, I was saying to you, if the cop was wounded that bad and he didn't have a taser, I guarantee he would have shot the kid.
He would have had to.
He would have had to shoot the kid. There's a huge difference between a 9-second span of this girl's going to stab this girl and this white kid is running away. And I have the option to switch to the taser and tase him.
Right. And mind you, 9 seconds is referring to when the officer put his foot down, left the vehicle, and shot.
And asked them to calm down too.
Right. And that's not taking into account the seconds of where he saw Ma'Khia's father kick somebody in the head, and then he panned over to see Ma'Khia with the knife. So when you see the knife, that's literally the start of when you have to think of what to do, and that was probably less than a second.
And kudos to Officer Reardon, and kudos to the officer in the other video too. I don't know his name.
Yeah,
that's a tough decision to make.
Like
to de-escalate that. It's always tough, and for all the social justice warriors who think they know what it's like to be a police officer, I don't. It's not. But I'll tell you, it's not easy. It's not easy to be stabbed in the neck and think consciously.
To de-escalate.
Take out a taser and not shoot the kid who just stabbed me in the neck.
Yeah.
So. But basically, why we talk about all this with the shift of blame is because we want to get into a conversation about accountability. And we spoke about in our last video about LeBron tweeting to Ma'Khia Bryant, Officer Reardon, which was I'm not gonna get into it. He tweets, "You're next." #accountability, because this is the response to the Derek Chauvin case, where now basically if a white police officer shoots a black person, whether justified or not justified, you're next. You're going to jail for 30 years. And we want to talk about accountability because we spoke just now. There was no accountability on behalf of the people who were in the direct vicinity of this case. They were immediately to blame the police. No accountability on the Washington Post. The CNN anchors who, like Don did a great job, and Cuomo agreed with them. I think Cuomo just agrees with Don, whatever he says, so we're not going to say Cuomo did a great job. But Don did a great job saying, the officers have a tough job. We need to respect that. We need to be honest. And it was great. It was just amazing to hear from a news anchor and a journalist that honesty is valued. I loved hearing that because I watch CNN because I know honesty is not valued, and I like to know what the opinion is from the people who aren't being honest. And that's not to glorify Fox either, because they lied too.
It's not to glorify Fox at all.
But our journalism has become dishonest, so it's great to hear that they value it once every 15 years. So, now, this is about, we said this is also about mob rule because we want to talk in response to the Chauvin case. And the LeBron James tweet. After that, he says that he took it down. He doesn't apologize for tweeting "You're next" with a picture of Officer Reardon. He says that he took the tweet down because it was being used falsely to create more hate and to create more racism.
Right.
And that we need to just let justice prevail. How do you create racism?
Not sure.
Is there a factory?
I don't know.
Does LeBron own it or something? How do you create racism? Is the big question here, because I'm very confused on how you fabricate racism and materialize it. But his tweet was being used to do this, though, by everyone on the right and a lot of people on the left too, who are saying you can't do that. You can't tweet "You're next" to be so misinformed and just say, "Hey, you're going to jail forever." Because you saved someone's life.
Yeah, see, the main problem with that is, like, it's not, LeBron James is not just anybody. He's one of the world's most known athletes, and you just can't say a thing where, obviously he was misinformed about the situation, like, I'm sure he hasn't watched the video prior to making that statement. And just having that sort of influence, that's this type of influence that Maxine Waters had, like she's a congressman and she's saying insightful things. So I feel like more so than LeBron James, I'd say, is not really aware of the influence that they have, and they, as a word of advice, I guess it's just, think about the words that you're saying, because there's a lot of people watching and listening,
And me and Phil were talking about this before. You need to be very aware of things when you have that following. You have to be aware of the fact that millions of people. He deleted it after a little bit. But
I'm sure he realized because he was not supposed to say that at the time.
I mean, I'm sure someone said to him, one of his social media advisors said, "You can't do that."
Yeah.
And they gauged a reaction like that. You have to be aware of the number of people that your account reaches. And, and me and Mike were talking about it, and you guys will meet Mike one day. We were talking about the fact that when he hits the court, he doesn't hit the court with a lack of preparedness. He doesn't hit the court with lack of information about his opponents. He doesn't hit the court with that mindset that he can just kind of act freely and that there are no repercussions to his actions when he gets to the free throw line. When he doesn't practice, he doesn't take this lackadaisical approach to the thing that he's better than anybody at in the world. And look at what he's done for basketball. More than anybody. Anybody. He's done in basketball. So if you want to be a leader, be a leader. And leaders are leaders because they have the information. They can teach people. Leaders are teachers at the very least. They're teachers, and if you're not, you can't teach if you don't know what you're teaching, and that's a pretty simple premise. And just like the basic thing that we're talking about with mob rule is that this is the danger of the Derek Chauvin case. We both agree Chauvin was guilty. We disagreed slightly about his specific convictions, which is a whole other video. We agreed he was guilty, but we also agreed that the jury was under duress, and that what he should have got charged. But also, this is a dangerous environment if juries are going to feel like if I don't vote in a certain way, my life is at danger, my society, my community is at danger. And we have Hawk Newsom, who is the BLM chapter leader in New York, and he says in response to that the reason that the Chauvin verdict was what it was is because it is a judicial response to a combination of violent and nonviolent riots, and that if we, I guess he says we as in the police and the government, if we continue to allow black people to be murdered in the streets, then they will rain hell on America. And that's the response. Meanwhile, and we want to talk Chicago, because Chicago is where we want to end this video at. Chicago, you have black people shot every single day, and Black Lives Matter does not show up for any of them because it doesn't fit the narrative at all. So he wants to talk about if black people get murdered, then we're going to raise hell. Meanwhile, it's 12 to 30 unarmed black people every year shot by police. At the lowest, 2019 was like 12 people. Meanwhile, somewhere around there, yeah. That is 0.2% of the total black death in America. 96% of black death in America is black on black crime. So, I guess y'all are raising hell right now because black people are getting killed all over the place. Or do Black Lives Matter only matter when it's a white cop? Because did the black girl who's going to get stabbed matter? And we want to get into your story from yesterday.
And real quick to touch up on the what was his name again? That you just referred to?
Hawk Newsom.
Hawk Newsom. It just goes back to what I said about LeBron James. Like, if you know, these people do know that they have an influence.
27,000 followers.
20,000, yeah. And then, of course, millions know LeBron James,
and he's on Fox all the time.
I don't know. I just feel like you should know that your words have much more weight than just a regular person just tweeting that, you know? You should be aware of what you're saying, and you should know that those words have an effect. And you don't want to have... Chauvin, there's talks of mistrial just because of the influence from public media and pressure, and you don't want in those cases. Like Chauvin, definitely, like we said, we agree that he should have been convicted and he was found guilty. Perfect. And the last thing we want is a mistrial from public spheres, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. So moving on to the
when 7-year-old black lives don't matter.
Yeah. Well, so this incident happened on this past Sunday evening. So about 5 days ago. So it was a 7-year-old girl. Man, it just hurts even saying that. You know?
It's really hurts to say that, yeah.
So basically, Jaslyn Adams was a 7-year-old girl. She was in Chicago. This incident where this takes place. She was with her dad. They were just going to McDonald's. They were just probably getting dinner for Sunday evening. And then, long story short, another car parks up next to them, right next to the drive-thru. 2 gunmen come out, and next thing you know, a lot of shots were fired, and when the police arrived, there were 45 spent shell casings. And then the girl was obviously in critical condition, as her father was too. Then they took the little girl to the hospital, and she was pronounced dead at the hospital. I'm not sure what her father's condition is currently.
I don't think he died, but
I'm not sure he passed, but I think he's definitely in critical condition. I just have no words for this.
And the thing that we were talking about is getting back to LeBron James' hashtag about accountability. The blame for this was automatically shifted to the authorities for releasing the information about the PPP loan.
Right. Yes. So about that. So her father was, I think it was a PPP loan applicant. Got that. A PPP loan applicant, and then his...
It's a liberal.
His information was posted online on online records, and I'm sure I was doing research about that, and it's just standard protocol to have those applicants for the PPP loan to be published on public records. An hour prior to the incident of the shooting, her father made a Facebook post stating that ops are probably downstairs waiting on me. So for people that don't know, ops means competition or people that are against you, and that's a common just slang term. So he knew that he had a target on his back, and that just goes into accountability. Like, why would you put yourself in a position,
and your daughter,
and especially his daughter, and unfortunately that just passed, in a position to get hurt, right?
And not just, like we said, this isn't the school bully. This isn't the lunch lady who wants you dead. This is people who are going to shoot your car 45 times. These are serious. Chicago's a crazy place, Hawk.
No, literally no mercy. Absolutely no.
Yeah, it's a crazy, crazy place. You know that you're putting your daughter in that danger. The public, there was no talk about, let's find these people who shot this car 45 times. There's no talk about why did the dad take her out of the house. The same way that you have the mother of Makia coming out and saying, my daughter was so sweet. I miss my daughter so much. Makia. Where was mom when the daughter was outside stabbing people? Where's the accountability on the fact that we should be preventing these situations in the first place? I know it's such a conservative thing to say, is to blame the people who are the victims, and I hate the fact that 7-year-old is dead, and that Brian is dead too. It's horrible that these people are dying, but just because people are dying does not mean that America is bad, and that in the words of John F. Kennedy, the government is not the solution to all your problems. It's not always think what your government can do for you, what you can do for your country. So we can't just sit back and just say they said the authorities are to blame and the cops are to blame. Let's take accountability.
Yeah, and just add on to that, like Ryan and I say, we're not officers, so we don't necessarily put ourselves in an officer's position, but we have to think about it. And just like we're not parents either, right? So we're not here to judge about how you parent your kids, and we're not telling you how to parent your kids. But at the end of the day, you do have some responsibility for your child's actions, right?
I definitely think so.
And especially in that situation, I like to say, for example, Makaya's situation, right? Her father's on footage kicking somebody in the head. So, I mean, and you know that your daughter was getting jumped. He knew the situation. So do you exacerbate the situation, or do you try to remove your child from that situation, right? And he did have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, he did. He did. So, I mean, you want to add anything else in there?
So one more thing about the Jaslyn Adams situation actually was I was surprised to see where it was hard for me to find the situation to begin with. I did not see a lot of posts about her. There's no say her name hashtags or justice hashtags or accountability hashtags. So that's something I was surprised to see. And then I just feel like right now, at least social media, and then of course major media outlets like CNN, Fox, whatever, they just don't. Yeah. If it doesn't involve an officer, they just won't talk about it.
Yeah. If Black Lives Matter wants to come out and change their mission statement to Black Lives Matter when a white officer shoots a black person, then do it. It's a long hashtag, and good luck people typing that out. But if Jocelyn's life's not going to matter, and we have other cases where black people are killed and their lives don't matter, then maybe you should change the mission statement from just Black Lives Matter in general. Because if you have the idea of, you have the hashtag Black Lives Matter, which is a very, very, I don't know who wouldn't support the fact that Black Lives Matter. And when the movement came out and the hashtag came out after George Floyd's death, I was in full support of it.
Yeah,
and then the All Lives Matter came out, and I was opposed to that because we have issues that are specifically against Black America. And we let them have that. It's Black Lives Matter. The response shouldn't have been All Lives Matter. It's true, all lives matter. But Black people are the ones who were victimized in that specific scenario, so you let them have their day.
Right. It's like going to a cancer research event and then just yelling and barging in with a lung cancer matters. Like that's why are you responding like that? This is about a different situation.
Exactly, and we can have a whole conversation.
Because that'll be a different conversation for
proportionality and crime and about all this, but. The idea is that Black Lives Matter as the hashtag, as the public movement, as the public sees it, Black Lives Matter all over. Black Lives Matter for the 96% of black people who are killed by black people too, not just 2.2% who hit the media. So it's kind of just disgraceful.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that like people like Jaslyn Adams, 7-year-old girl that just got killed through some stupid violence. I just can't even describe. It just shouldn't have happened in the first place. And the fact that she doesn't get media coverage at all. Nothing. It's
didn't
just
even hear her name.
No.
We follow these news outlets on social media and we look at them through Google and whatever that are not popular. And this is where we find this stuff.
Yeah.
So if you could just follow CNN, I mean, you never would have heard about this. You'll see Donald Trump falling down the stairs and they'll cover for 22 minutes. But you won't hear about this. So, and that's a real issue. I mean, but hey, Don's going to be honest now.
Don Lemon?
Yeah.
Why?
He's going to be honest. He said.
Oh, honest. Oh,
yeah,
I said on us.
No, he's going to be honest.
He's
going to be honest now. So,
I hope so. I really hope so.
And just to end the analysis of this, that cop in Ohio is on probation. So we're still trying to hear. Mm-hmm. I mean, I really hope that there are no convictions against him. A lot of loss in the system if there is. But down the middle breakdown.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll start because I'm doing the first case.
yeah, sure.
So down the middle breakdown for Miss Bryant in Ohio. Now, it's a horrible thing that she's dead. And I'm looking at how I can support the leftist side of this. I understand that you're furious that another black life is lost. And anyone who just supports the idea of a colorblind America, another American life is lost, and that's a tragedy. But there are cases to the governor of Ohio. Why did she have to die? She was going to kill someone. And the only option was to shoot her. Taser wouldn't work. She's not Frank Castle. She's not going to shoot the knife. Frank Castle's the Punisher. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I got that.
Like the answer was to shoot her. The cop had no reaction time. The left, I don't think you're justified to come out like this in reaction to this like this. I want to be impartial. I want to try to have a moderate mindset towards it. I hate the fact that this girl is dead and that her mom doesn't have her there, but we need to have a conversation about accountability. We need to have a conversation about the situation and just the cop's job. And as Don said, the cop's job is to protect and serve. And he protected the other black girl who was going to die, and he served everyone there who was also at threat and the community there. Yeah. So if I'm going to look at it down the middle, I got to side with the right on this one. I think that the cop did what he had to do.
And mind you, I mean, it's completely understandable. Like, it's another life, like Ryan said. You know, it's another life. It shouldn't have happened. And it's just quite unfortunate. You know, it's just, at the end of the day, like, it's just not a situation you want to be in or have your kids in, right? Mm-hmm. And also, just on top of that, we all know we've been facing a lot of events with police brutality. So, but like I said earlier in the podcast, you have to take each event exclusively. You know, you can't just pile on to the emotions that you have from before. But easier said than done. I'm not saying that it's the easiest thing in the world. And of course, you know, detaching your emotions from events like this and seeing your own community like in this position where you don't want them to be in, nobody wants to see that, right? Yeah. But specifically with this situation, it's just something to think about with the given facts, and just be honest with yourself sometimes, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the most important thing, just having that conversation with yourself, and then the people with you love too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah. We can't let the this new, hey, we got what had justice prevailed in the Chauvin case. A criminal was put into jail. And
absolutely.
But there are also all of these aspects to it about the fact that there was violence impending, violence happening, potential violence, and people were scared. And that can't be what moves forward, because, I mean, if we're going to have a society that just is run on the fact that if X doesn't happen or Y doesn't happen, then Z is going to happen. And Z is stores are going to get looted, people are going to get killed, crime is going to spike 40%, then that is a very dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like Nomal said, have that conversation with yourself, have that conversation with the people around you. Look at the facts. Just look at the body cam. Like we said, we're not police officers.
We're not parents either.
We're not parents, but I think that you can try to create an understanding for that police officer's mindset. We all know what it's like to be crunched on time and have to make a critical decision. We don't know what it's like to have someone's life in the balance, but I think that...
Yeah. And just to add on to that, you could put yourself in both positions. As the officer, what would you have done? And as the parent, what would you have done?
What would you have done differently to stop that? As the dad is a more prevalent of this. You're right there. You're fighting with your daughter. So, yeah, I just think that we got to just, when these stuff happens, someone like LeBron James, take a step back.
Yeah.
You know, and that had nothing to do with his following, nothing to do with his tweets. Everybody, something happens, don't share to Instagram right away. Don't jump on Twitter and use your 140 characters. Take a step back. Look at the data, look at the case, give it time, and then make a formulated and educated decision on where you stand on this.
And yeah, I mean, for the second situation we talked about, or the incident rather, today, Jasmine Adams, 7-year-old girl, Chicago. I don't know. There's really not much to say about this. There's not really. There's a lot less components. It's really just at least one side we have. In a lot of individuals saying it's blamed on the government, quote unquote, the feds knew what they were doing with the release of the PPP loan applicant letters, or the list with the names and addresses. But like I said, it's standard protocol. And then the other side is just like, why are you putting yourself in that position, right? And if you knew, it's just that the Facebook post too is just kind of like, I don't know. It's more
It's
like
teasing the people who are going to come after him a little bit.
it's more like I don't know. Like he knew he had a target. That's what bothers me. You know, like it's not like he didn't know the PPP loans list was not out, right? And then it's just bad timing. He knew it was out. He knew he had a target on his back, and then an hour later the incident happened, and it's hard to justify that. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
And you got to think, like, as a father, like, do you want to put yourself and your loved ones in that position, knowing that you have a target on your back? And on top of that, what about the gunman? Like, really, what are you doing out there?
Yeah.
Is it really that necessary? Like, 45 shell casings? 45. And actually, matter of fact, I think about six hit the girl.
Yeah.
And 45 was an overkill. Like, think about it. If you had some mercy, you know, you would have shot, I don't know, half. You know what I'm saying?
We have this whole conversation about police.
Like,
Chicago was...
Or, like, none. Like, if you had actually some mercy, you wouldn't be doing this in the first place. But
yeah.
It's just, like, unfortunate. 7-year-old girl, first grade. And that's a life that's been robbed. And that's unfortunate to say.
Hey, Chicago is the most crime-ridden place in America. Crime has increased 50% this year. I wonder if you could use a couple more cops. But I don't know.
Yeah, just I don't know. I have no words. I'm getting angry about just thinking about the situation. So
I got to kickbox him after this, so we'll make him angry.
it's just I don't know. You should never. It's just unfortunate events, and going back to the whole accountability theme. Like, we're not officers, we're not parents. At the same time, though, you have to find the accountability and which side there's more accountability on. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's our take on it.
That's our take. We're only 18 minutes over our time limit for this video. So, did it feel like 15 minutes?
It didn't feel like it, but it's worth it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. All right. So, yeah, we're done for the day. We will be back soon because we just can't stop making these damn videos. Phil's pissed off because he sits out here in the cold and he just watches us do it.
Yep. Gets paid $3.99.
He gets paid. Well, actually, I was going to say he gets to use the gym, but he supplied a lot of the weight. So, all right. So, we're done. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Comment below. If you disagree with us, talk to us. I'll put my email into the thing. You can email us questions. We'll answer everything. If you want to have a conversation with us.
And I think the goal of the comment section is like we want that conversation. That's the whole point of Down the Middle. We want those conversations all down the line, and we want to get to you, and we want to talk to you guys. So we'll see where it goes from there.
And hey, if you want to debate us, we'll get you on a damn Skype call. We'll put you right here. I'll put you right here.
Conversation leads to progress. So
yeah, I'll put you right here, and I will bend over the phone like this, and I will talk to you, and I will own you. I'm kidding. I'm sure your views are great. I'm sure they're great. Okay, we're done. Okay, so have a good night.